Hello, everyone. It's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5 Mondays on Facebook. So I'm going to talk about a few things. One, I'll just mention why this live at 5 exists, and just really simply, it's just all things healthy. And through the week, I guess, I come across or stumble upon or read about or research, and I'm able to share once a week here at Live at 5 on Facebook, and then it's uploaded to YouTube. Hi, Carol. Hi, I'm Mandeep. So welcome. Some of the things I wanted to talk today was, there's this a scenario that a lot of people, and I was just at the Total Health Show the whole weekend, and what I heard loud and clear from some people, and this is things that I was kind of coming across with clients, and that is, as much as there's a lot of information out there, or a number of people's very intelligent people, very business oriented, established, and so forth, there is almost a limit to what any one of us can do in a day. And quite often when we hear the numerous things that we can do to help our health, first of all, there's no way you could do everything that so many people talk about, even if it was just one thing in each category. So just to kind of talk about and stay on that path, what the conversations were kind of about was all right, Cheryl, I go to this course. I mean, listen, I've been there, so I'm familiar with what it is, primarily because I know it's interesting to learn, and I can try to put it in perspective, and I can better understand what people are doing. So I kind of looked at those books or personal growth or retreats in different ways, different ones, mind you. But what I was getting from people is they would pick up a book, and maybe you can say, and write down there and pipe in here, if you're in this same boat where you do want to make a change of some nature. Is that a yes? There's something that you'd like to move into doing, and most people will say, well, I know what I need to do, or at least I know I would like to make these changes, and perhaps they'll be okay for me, perhaps they'll be better, perhaps they'll enrich my life or give me more balance. And when you go through, say, reading books, and they have, how would I say it? They probably have a list, do this, do that, do this, protocol perhaps. And when you're going through it, it seems exciting, and you may make a list, and you set all these intentions. But then there's the next step, which just doesn't happen for a lot of people. And at least that's my experience with both clients and numerous people that I've spoken to, whereas you get the information, but it doesn't make it across to the next day or to the next week or to the next month, or becomes a habit and so forth. So it depends on where people are with their nature to do things. One of the things I will say is we don't have to do so much in a day. So you really need to look at what your day is, what you want to bring in, and determine not necessarily what's more important, and maybe some of it has to do with health, relationships, and so forth, but it actually might roll and, weave and roll here, where you're focusing on one area of your life and then another area of your life, or you bring change a little bit here and then a little bit there. And it's too here right now to kind of go into it into any more detail. What I would say is everybody has their unique situation, their unique day-to-day doings, their unique habits, their unique beliefs. But the idea here is really there is a number of people that want to change something. Now, most people will probably say, as far as who I see as a consultant, they want to lose weight. Now, quite often they're saying, well, I know, Cheryl, weight probably loss is actually a result of making these other changes. But if they were to speak truthfully, they would say they would want to lose weight. And that's probably one of the bigger goals for a lot of people, because how does that make them feel? But why do they feel the way they feel where they are anyway? Anyway, don't want to go off the path here. To actually understand better what you're doing, what you want to do, what are your goals, that's kind of like the first step, is to know, really identify what it is that you want. And I do this in the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. Rather than doing their elevator speech, I'd actually ask them to start off with, I want. And interestingly enough, it brings more clarity for themselves and for the people that are listening. I want. So if you get a piece of paper and pen and you just sit there and just be honest with yourself and say, what do you want? And it doesn't matter what it is. Don't try to judge yourself on that. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about, is that people learn, and it's great to learn, but they're not feeling like they can apply, or they haven't applied, and it's just a repeated pattern where things aren't applied. And there are good reasons for that, very good reasons, but it's going to be unique to everybody. And to get to where they want to get to, it's also going to be unique. But there are definitely themes or foundational information, which is what I like to cover at Live at 5 anyway, some of the foundations here. So to keep listening, or to go back and listen to some of the things you'll get, and there's so many various topics here. So really, I mean, if I can do it, this is how I feel. If I can do it, then you can too. If I can do it, you can too. How we get there, what it is that you want. But most people want the simple things, really. They want to be able to do what they want to do and feel the way they want to feel. If that's happiness, which most people say, that's there. But I would switch happiness to peace. Peace shifted for me, not happiness. Seems like it has a lot of conditions to it, but actually feeling peaceful and feeling comfortable. And much more on that, of course. But if I can do it, so can you. The other thing is being real. More and more I see, and more people are being real. They're actually opening up to me, even if I'm not doing a consultation, as my experience at the Total Health Show, just with some simple questions. It seems like people are very easily, some probably more than others, some are not ready, and that's okay. But just to be real, to be yourself, and to admit this and to admit that. And really, I mean, most people here, all of us are, if you want to say, guilty of this, or we've experienced many feelings, from jealousy, from anger, from disappointment. There's a whole list of emotions. And in our lifetime, if humans are supposed to experience this full range of emotions, then we've all experienced them, and we're all capable of experiencing them. But it's really what we're doing now and going forward, and our own perspective, and as they say, the attitude. And again, it's unique to everybody. Their take on things. Are they going into places where they're blaming people? Or they're going into places where they don't feel good enough? There's all these things kind of bubble up to the surface, and those feelings keep repeatedly happening. In some ways, we can kind of frame that as patterns that kind of happen that way. The other thing I wanted to talk about, because I do bring it up from time to time, is actually fats. So fats in themselves are part of, or macronutrients, part of our foods. They're more fats in some foods than others. But the idea is, if there's any truth to something I learned several years ago, which somewhat goes like this. Japanese researchers now I heard the number like 600 peer-reviewed studies and research, an accumulation of that, and these Japanese researchers had said that they feel the number one reason for all the inflammation, a lot of the mental stuff that's going on, hormonal imbalances and so forth, has to do with this imbalance of fats. And I'm going to kind of add, so I'm adding it. Does it have to do exactly with omega-3 deficiencies? I've seen research where they have said, or they've even done blood work or testing on, let's say, raw food, vegan people, and they were all low on omegas. Now, this is a very big topic, and for me, I could talk about it for a very long time. But the idea here is healthy fats for some people are not what you think they are. So let me just kind of simply say it. Healthy fats are, the best healthy fats are part of the whole food or coming from whole food and in a least processed manner. Really what's kind of happening, I'm going to give an example, but really what's happened out there in the food world is that we've come from a place of growing our own food, or at least getting it from the local farmers or markets, to buying it in a big store. And because of that shift, safety regulations that come in food actually has to apply there, where the foods actually have to be safe. So shelf stable is one of the big words I'll use. Having come from food processing for 20 years, I know a thing or two about, this field, but then studying new holistic nutrition kind of brings in much more research. But the idea, the Japanese researchers said that they feel that the imbalance of the omega-6, omega-3 in our body is they feel that it is the cause of a lot of the inflammation, increase in mental scenario, and that could be very much inflammation in the brain, which is really what they're showing time and time again. Inflammation here, inflammation there, itis for all the diseases. Excuse me. Itis is just meaning inflammation. So if you say pancreatitis, you have inflammation in the pancreas. If you have esophagitis, you have inflammation in the esophagus. But things like cancer, diabetes, they don't have itis in them, but there's always inflammation there, always inflammation. So this inflammation, this word is being heard more and more by people. In fact, conferences are being based on it's the root cause disease. But I will say that it's not the root cause of disease. Is it there? Yes. But if you have an injury which causes inflammation, inflammation is not at the root. What was at the root is actually the injury when you hit or you fell down. And that's at the root cause. So if you keep doing it, you're going to keep getting the inflammation, but it's not the inflammation. To get at the root cause, you need to address that you're hitting, whatever your knee on something, and that is actually causing the inflammation and interfering. Hi, Annette. Welcome. And so that is interfering with our system. So right from our brain to our, to the top of our head, to the tip of our toes, all the inflammation, all the puffiness, the heat, the swelling that we can see, and then of course that we can't see that's happening in the brain. Even depression, they'll say, well, there's inflammation in the blah blah cells. So getting back to fat, and the Japanese researchers with 600 peer-reviewed studies saying that they feel this is the key reason for all our diseases, is one, understanding that inflammation is critically supported our immune system, to our hormonal system, to our nervous system, which is our brain. All of these systems are communicating, and if your brain, your nervous system, or interference in the spine, just as simple as that, but even when there isn't, they're all communicating, they're all working together. So you want to deal with the inflammation. The idea is that whatever it is that we're doing is causing the inflammation, whether that's poor diet, anything to do with a lifestyle stuff too much. I mean, quite often our eyes get, can't see the same way. Our eyes get tired. And that's why, I mean, we're just overusing our eyes to do things. Their tiredness, and we're exhausting in our own system is we're being, exhausting it from different things, or we're not replenishing it with the vital nutrients that we need. So getting back to the omega-6, omega-3, and actually healthy fats is definitely better to come from whole foods. So if you're eating the almond, that's better than having almond oil. And if you're eating olives, well, I'm not saying that's better than olive oil, but olives in olive oil, if you're going to eat olives, would be ideal, not in vegetable oil. So this is the crux of it here, why the omega-6 and omega-3, as the research would come to say, inflammation is part of every disease, is our body can't deal with inflammation. So if you have an imbalance of omega-6, omega-3, too much omega-6 promotes inflammation. And then you hear about omega-3 brings down inflammation. And if we're deficient in omega-3, if there's not some sort of a balance there, then we're not bringing down the inflammation. So we can, well, listen, if you don't have enough omega-6, healthy omega-6, then you can't even have the inflammatory response that you need as well. And for the omega-6 that we have all over our skin, which between our digestive system, our lungs, and our skin, they're most susceptible to the external, right? Food's still like almost like an external skin, our digestive system. And so we just can't, and we have to bring in these healthy fats. And if we're consuming refined vegetable oils, so if you see vegetable oils on any of your packaging, here's homework. Look at the packaging as you buy it, maybe in your cupboard, and just get familiar with what has vegetable oil in it. It may say vegetable oil, it may say canola oil, it may say sunflower oil, it may say safflower oil, it may say soybean oil, it may say vegetable oil. If it doesn't say cold pressed, if it doesn't say, this is very rare, because to understand that the refineries that are working with the oils, I mean, for efficiency, the way they have it all set up is the oil seeds, let's say canola seed, sunflower seeds, soybeans, they come through the refineries in bulk amounts. And so you have these large refineries, very few, less than than you probably think. And they process all the oils, they put all the different branding labels on the oils, they're on the shelf, they can sit there for months, if not years. And if you want to do something a little crazy, take a teaspoon of your oil, any oil, and smell it, even taste it. See, most people are familiar with using the oil for cooking. You don't even really know how that fat is interfering with the taste of your food. It really is interfering with the taste of your food. Never mind the type of pots you use, but the vegetable oil, just a teeny bit, put it in your mouth, just as it is. Now, here's the other thing about olive oil you need to understand. They're putting olive oil in like pasta sauces and other sauces, and it doesn't even say cold pressed. The only thing with olive oil is it also can be refined, as coconut oil can be refined. And if it doesn't say cold pressed, then it's refined. End of story. But here's the thing that gets additional to olive oils, because if you buy olive oils, you're not even sure you're getting the real olive oil. Here's what I'm going to say about the olive oil on that note, is listening to the people who know about olive oils, is the fact that the true way to tell if it's a good olive oil is to smell it. But here's just the numbers. Let's just get the numbers on the table. There's about, and don't go by the units, but I think it's 8 million barrels, or I don't think it's bushels. I'm thinking wheat is bushels, but let's say barrels, however they weigh, that is actually sold in olive oil around the world. but only 3 million of true olive oil is actually made from from olives, from the olive tree. That's astounding. That means 5 million barrels of olive oil is getting into bottles, getting into food that you're consuming. And this would fall into, for me, unhealthy fats, right? So if you think about, let's just go through, I mean, Japanese researchers, omega-6, omega-3, yes, olive oil is monounsaturated, but there's a little bit of omegas in a lot of foods, even animal stuff as well. There's definitely the stuff that has more in it. But here's kind of examples of the healthy fats. Okay, you eat your nuts. You eat your nuts. I'm not going to go crazy here, okay? I'm not going to go into certain details about, organic, not organic. But let's say nuts, seeds, whole nuts and seeds, that way. This is olive oil, cold-pressed olive oil. Eggs that are naturally raised outside, eating insects. Meats that have been, or even fish, not farmed fish if it's not being fed its natural food. So think of all the, the fish, the poultry, the meats. They need to be eating their natural diet. So we're still on the healthy fats here. They need to be eating their natural diet. For example, with chickens, yes, they should be roaming outside and eating worms. I don't know if any of you have said this before. Remember the cartoons where the hen is outside and it's having a tug of war with the worm. Most of what chickens are eating today, or hens that you would be there, they are grain fed. Okay, so corn, they're primarily grain fed. They're not eating the insects and the worms and things like that. So when they're grain fed, if that's not their natural diet, especially corn for beef, it's not their natural diet. The corn is not what they're eating when they're out there grazing. They're eating grasses, and that's how their system works. So all of our foods really need to be kind of like in their natural sources, but being fed their natural diet to actually have the right balance and makeup of fats. So when you give a cow corn, they get inflamed. Why? Because what corn is made of is inflaming them. And there is higher omega-6 with corn than there is, okay, I'll give you the ratio. I'm going to give you the more conservative one, 50 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. So 50 omega-6. If we're supposed to be around a 1-to-1, and that's what you'd find more in grasses. I mean, the cows would be getting 50 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. And that's why they get inflamed, or as some people like, the marbling effect. And if you get these animals that are hunted in the wild on their natural diet, their fat content is much lower, much lower. I get it. Fat is tastier. It does help. It does have taste and flavor to it. But we need the natural ones. So where is, if some other natural ones come to mind, the butter that's from the grass-fed too as well. The healthy fats are just kind of in the whole foods because there's very little, there's amounts in vegetables too as well. And the idea for unhealthy fats is all the vegetable oils that are refined. So if it doesn't say organic, then they're absolutely refined, because they don't say refined, bleached, and deodorized on the packaging. They're just allowed to say canola oil or soybean oil. So all of those oils, refined coconut oil, refined olive oil, and again, if it doesn't say cold pressed, then it's not, it's not the healthy fats. That's what I'm going to say. What other unhealthy fats? Of course, the meats that have a fat. So that's why I guess lean meat in some way is better, because you're not getting that fat, which is where the omegas would be stored in. So lean is probably better if you're eating the grass-fed meat, and of course, organic is organic and non-GMO. That's what I was saying. I could get into more detail with the food. And then you would find, once you get in these whole foods, you would actually eat less, you'd save money, and your cells wouldn't be all gummed up with the unhealthy fats. So try to do an experiment okay, let's try to remember here hi Gordon, where you fried something in oil. You fried something in oil, and go and try and clean that oil without some sort of a scrub pad, without some sort of a soap to kind of loosen it up. So when we're taking the fats into our body, it can't be used as the optimum nutrient it is when it's healthy fats. So ideally, I mean, if you just had to envision it, it's just kind of gumming up, just like it would for your pots and for other things, or when you get it on your hands. I mean, it's really hard to take fats if you get them on your hands. I mean, just do an experiment. I'm all about experiments here. I mean, if you have some of the veg oil that you have in your cupboard, I don't know how many people have veg oil in their cupboard. I think it's kind of a staple, but the idea is if you take some of that veg oil and rub it all over your hands, okay? And then go under warm water, like decently warm water, and see if it comes off. And increase the heat, I mean, to as high as you can, and see if it comes off. And then put a little bit of soap, or it could be hand soap, or it could be just your dish soap, and actually see then how much more fluid it is when you do that. So our body has to have a way to deal with these fats. When you refine the fats, they're more gummy, they're more sticky. Even fish oil versus the raw seal oil, it's thicker, it's gummier as it oxidizes, as the longer it stays in the bottle. I just want to kind of give you an idea of that is. But if you want to test your olive oil, cold pressed or not, on the label, is the best way to do it is actually to smell it and to take a good whiff of it. So breathe out and then take a good whiff of it and see how it affects your eyes. If you feel that your eyes are being bothered by the oil, and you have to give it a bit of time, sort of almost like a wine glass, a bit of olive oil in the wine glass. So it's just enough it can breathe, and maybe move it around like you would with your wine and oxidate, and smell it. See if you can smell any synthetic. See if it bothers your eyes. See what kind of smells are coming that way. You can experiment with a good olive oil like Acropolis, or even go to the Olive Oil Emporium. Those two are ones that I know of that are very good, and they can give you kind of more of a feel for what a real olive oil would be. So again, if 800 barrels of whatever size is out there of olive oil being sold, and only 3 million is authentic olive oil, that's all they're producing, then there's like 5 million, crappy olive oil that's going into foods, organic or not, and it's being cut with maybe vegetable oil. Oh, I heard that if you just put a little, is it chlorophyll? It's kind of like that. Yeah, I think it's chlorophyll. If you put a little chlorophyll into some of these not genuine olive oils, it will change the color. So you can't assess it on color, can't assess it on taste as much because they can mask that, and you can't assess it on, so touch, taste, or sight. So smell is the best way to kind of sense that. So I've kind of given you a lot on oil to think about today. And to me, that's probably one of the key things to start shifting on is actually your fats, because most likely the other things are going to shift too as well. So that's where I'm going to leave it. So we talked today about, yes, the vegetable oil and how inflammation is it's a component in all of our diseases. And really that healthy fat is going to be so instrumental in our body, our nervous system feeling better, that absolutely the no-fat diets or low-fat diets are not helping our bodies, not helping our brain function, not helping with the fluidity in the body, the lubrication in the body, and managing inflammation. So it comes down to quality. What you put in is what you get out. So I'm going to leave it at that today, but I just want to see. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Dan. Abigail. Just wanted to see if you have any questions. Any questions? Or one of the things I've started asking is actually, what did you learn out of listening in today? And if you came on a little bit later, then just encourage you kind of to watch the whole thing. I would try to make them a bit shorter. But then again, you can't really, truthfully, you can't really get into what's going on. I'm a firm believer of just not telling people what to do. And even if I say things here, I would just love it for each and every one of you to go out there and explore what I'm telling you. Not even me putting the links below, but just go and explore a little bit. Maybe don't spend too much time. Might seem a little confusing, might have some questions, and then you can both post them here. But ideally, put down below or comment what you've learned out of today. That will help with retention. It'll be helpful for other people who are just trying to get the key points. And it'll be helpful for me to kind of learn what's important for you as well. Like, what did you get out of it? But definitely move towards the healthier fats. I was talking about the list of things, and whole foods by far are the most amazing. And to get away from all the refined fats. And again, if it doesn't say cold pressed, then it's refined, bleached, and deodorized. And when I ask people, does that sound appetizing, that your food is deodorized because it discolors in the heating process? Or if it's bleached, does that sound appetizing? So bleaching, the smell is deodorizing from what the heat does. The bleaching is there to change the color so it looks a bit clearer and not a dark, not as dark from the heating process. But does that sound appetizing? Bleaching and deodorized? Not really. So they're not going to put refined, bleached, and deodorized on the packaging for your veg oil. So you want to just look for the oil, any veg oil, and where it doesn't say, where it does say organic. And you'll find a lot of the fried foods, potato chips and many other things, pasta sauce, and all these organic ones. Even if it says organic, it's still okay, better perhaps, maybe not GMO based, but the idea is it's still refined, bleached, and deodorized. Just pay attention and just observe, just learn, go and explore some of this information. You can go on my website, CherylMillett.com. I've got several articles that will go in a little bit more detail. We'll actually give you lists too as well on either side, and just will reiterate what I'm saying today. That's probably very helpful. So I'm going to wish everybody a healthy week. Live at 5. It's Mondays on Facebook, but then it's copied over to YouTube. Hi, Jen. Thanks for coming on, everyone. I wish everybody the best of health, and I'm the first person to say to mentoring holistic nutritionists is that we want to be out of a job. We want to not be doing what we're doing. We want people to be confident and competent of choosing healthier foods and balancing and having healthier eating habits. So I don't have that kind of job, right? Looking, and helping people who are not feeling well due to their diet and their lifestyle. And I'd rather get into the emotional and mental stuff more and more to myself, but they both come hand in hand. So that's what we're just going to end with today. I'm going to wish everybody again a best of health for the rest of the week. Hope you've learned something. Please, please, please put down below what you've learned from today. Just one thing, so I can see what it is and others can see what it is. So long. We'll see you next week. And Rose is on and Stacy's on. Well, I'll say hello. And yeah, please watch the video again. It'll be informative on a few different topics. And I'll wish everybody again a very, very healthy week. Take care. Eat well. Look at what your fats are telling you on the packaging. see what's there, just observe, keep on learning, and feel good. Do things that feel good for yourself. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.